Hey. Welcome back to Spreadsheets and Shenanigans. My name is Nick Eppinger.
I'm Tyler Zachman.
And I'm Matt Roque. Today we're going to be diving into some topics that are kind of serious, kind of juicy, but above all, definitely important. We're going to be talking about lack of ethics in business. We're going to be talking about the advantage and disadvantages of the division of labor in the workforce. We're going to be talking about some of the challenges that managers and business leaders face as well.
Yeah, and let's be honest, business ethics don't always get the attention they deserve. We hear about growth and profits all the time, but what about how those profits are made?
Exactly. The Wells Fargo scandal serves as a perfect example about how toxic corporate culture and unrealistic expectations can lead to widespread unethical behavior. Between 2011 and 2016, employees, driven by intense pressure to meet aggressive sales targets, opened up over 1.5 million unauthorized deposit accounts and more than 500,000 credit cards without customer consent. This wasn't just the work of a few rogue employees. It was a systematic issue fueled by corporate emphasis on cross-selling multiple products to each customer. The fallout was massive: 185 million in fines, the termination of 5,300 employees, and the resignation of top executives like CEO John Stumpf and the head of banking retail. Beyond the financial penalties, the scandal severely damaged Wells Fargo's reputation, leading to a loss of customer trust and a significant drop in new account openings. It's a stark reminder that when a company's leadership prioritizes sales and profits over ethical practices and employee well-being, it can result in catastrophic consequences that ripple through every level of the organization.
Absolutely. The Wells Fargo scandal is a perfect example of what happens when ethics takes a backseat to unrealistic performance metrics. What stands out to me the most is how the pressure to meet unrealistic sales goals didn't just lead to isolated bad decisions from a couple of employees. It created a culture within Wells Fargo where unethical behavior became normalized and almost even expected. And what's really alarming is how long it went on, with leadership either turning a blind eye or just failing to address the deeper systematic issues as a whole. It shows when leadership sets a wrong tone at the top, the effects can cascade through the entire organization. And the loss of trust wasn't just external with customers, it also fractured the internal integrity of the company. To me, Wells Fargo serves as a clear warning that if companies don't build a culture grounded in values, transparency, and responsibility, they're going to set themselves up for a slow collapse from the inside out in the future.
Another one is Theranos. They claim they could test for hundreds of diseases with just one drop of blood. It sounded like something out of the future. No big needles, quick results, and super convenient. But the truth, the technology didn't work. Their machine was giving out results that were completely wrong, like telling people they had cancer when they didn't, or saying they were healthy when they actually weren't. And instead of admitting these issues and fixing them, the company kept lying. They lied to investors, doctors, patients, pretty much everyone. They even ran real tests on people and made medical decisions based on the faulty results. It wasn't just a bad business call, it was dangerous. And they covered it all up until reporters started digging deep into it. Eventually, the whole thing fell apart and the founder, Elizabeth Holmes, was convicted of fraud.
Yeah, Nick, that story really shows how dangerous it gets when some companies chase hype over honesty. It wasn't just a bad product, it was people's health on the line, and they kept lying anyways. That's wild. What's wild about how long they got away with it? Because everyone wanted to believe the story, and honestly, that same mindset shows up in smaller businesses too. Maybe it's not fake blood tests, but it could be ignoring safety rules, underpaying workers, or hiding problems to protect profits. It's the same issue, choosing money over doing what's right.
So the question we're asking is, what makes people do this stuff? A lot of the time, it's pressure from the top. When leaders care about money more than they care about people, it sends a message. Do whatever it takes.
Yeah, especially if you're just starting out in your career, that's a tough spot to be in. Like, do you speak up when something feels wrong, or do you stay quiet so you don't lose your job?
That's why having strong values matters. A company with good culture will reward honesty and fairness, not punish people for doing the right thing.
It's also why we, as future members of the business world, we need to think about this stuff now and get ahead of it. If we're ever in charge, how are we going to act when the pressure's on?
And don't forget, customers are always watching. If a company gets caught doing something unethical, they can lose trust fast. Just look at what happened to Facebook with all the privacy stuff. People started deleting their accounts. That's real damage.
So yeah, Businesses should be more than just money. It should be about trust, people, and doing things the right way.
All right, well, speaking of doing things the right way, let's talk about how companies actually organize their work. Let's talk about the division of labor.
It might sound like a dry textbook concept, but trust me, it's a game changer on how businesses operate and how we experience work every day.
Absolutely, Nicholas. At its core, the division of labor is about breaking down a complex process into smaller, more manageable tasks, with each task assigned to different individuals or groups. This specialization allows workers to focus on specific aspects of production, ideally leading to an increased efficiency and expertise.
Exactly. Think about it like this. Imagine you're building a car. If one person had to assemble the entire vehicle from scratch, it would take an incredible amount of time and require a range of skills. But if you have one team installing the engine, another attaching the doors, and another painting the body, the whole process becomes much more streamlined. This is the division of labor in action.
Right? And this concept isn't just limited to manufacturing. Consider a restaurant kitchen. You've got the head chef overseeing the operation, sous chef handling the specific stations like grill or pastry, and line cooks executing particular dishes. Each person has a specialized role contributing to a more efficient kitchen.
So, one of the biggest benefits to this approach is its increased productivity. When workers specialize in single tasks, they become more skilled and faster at it, leading to a higher output in less time.
I completely agree. Another advantage is improved quality. Specialization often means that workers can develop a deeper understanding of their specific tasks, which can lead to fewer errors and a higher standard of work. Take, for instance, a baker who focuses solely on crafting artisan bread is likely to produce a superior loaf compared to someone juggling multiple baking tasks.
Specialization also allows for more efficient training. Teaching an employee to master one specific task is generally quicker and more efficient than training them to be competent in a wide range of duties. This means new workers can become productive members of the team more rapidly.
And let's not forget cost efficiency. By streamlining processes, reducing the time taken to complete tasks, businesses can lower their production costs. These savings can be passed on to consumers in the form of lower prices or reinvestment into the company for growth and development.
I agree. However, it's important to recognize that the division of labor isn't without its drawbacks. One significant disadvantage is the potential for monotony. Performing the same task repeatedly can lead to boredom and decreased job satisfaction, which could result in higher turnover rates and reduced morale among employees of the organization.
There's also an issue of overdependence on specialized roles. If a worker who performs a crucial task is absent or leaves the company, it can create a bottleneck in the production process. The reliance on specific individuals can make the system vulnerable to disruptions.
Moreover, workers might feel disconnected from the overall purpose of their work. When you're only involved in one small part of the process, it can be challenging to see how your efforts contribute to the final product or service. This sense of alienation can impact motivation and engagement.
Definitely. Another concern is the potential for reduced innovation. When employees are confined to these narrow tasks, they may have fewer opportunities to develop new skills or think creatively about the broader process. This can stifle innovation and make it harder for companies to adapt to changing market conditions.
So how can businesses balance these advantages and disadvantages? One approach is job rotation, where employees periodically switch tasks. This can broaden skill sets and increase flexibility within the workforce.
Investing in continuous training and development is also key. Encouraging employees to expand their skills not only prepares them for advancement, but also keeps them understanding about the broader process of production, fostering a greater sense of connection in the company's mission.
I agree. Additionally, fostering a collaborative culture where employees feel valued and they understand the importance of their contributions can mitigate these feelings of alienation. When workers see how specialized tasks fit into the bigger picture, it can enhance their job satisfaction and their overall performance.
In conclusion, the division of labor is a powerful tool that, when implemented thoughtfully, can lead to significant gains in productivity. However, it's crucial for businesses to remain mindful of the potential downsides and take proactive steps to ensure the specialization doesn't come at an expense of employee well-being.
By striking the right balance, companies can harness the benefits of the division of labor while creating a dynamic and fulfilling work environment for their employees.
Very well said. That wraps up our discussion on the advantages and disadvantages of the division of labor. We hope that this insight helps you kind of understand the complexities of this concept and how it shapes the way we work and how we do business.
Yeah, and speaking of how work is divided, someone's got to oversee all of that, right? Making sure the team runs smoothly, people are motivated, problems are solved. That's where managers and leaders come in. Being in charge isn't always easy as it looks.
All right, so managing sounds pretty cool on paper. You're in charge, you get a nice desk, maybe even a corner office if you're lucky. You get to make decisions, you get to lead meetings, wear your big business clothes. Sounds pretty legit, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. But once you're actually in that role, it's a whole different story. Being a manager means you're responsible for a lot, and most of it involves people. And let's be real, people are complicated. You get different personalities, different work styles, people dealing with stuff outside of work, people who communicate totally differently. Managing is not easy.
One of the hardest parts is keeping everyone on the same page. Let's say you're running a sales team. One person's a top performer, hitting every goal early, another person's struggling but trying, and then there's someone who's just kind of showing up and going through the motions. You can't treat them all the same, and you can't expect the same results from them either. You've got to find different ways to coach, motivate, and support each person individually.
I agree, but then there's conflict. Maybe two people aren't getting along, one thinks the other isn't pulling their weight, or someone feels left out of decisions. A bad manager just avoids that and hopes it'll fix itself, which almost never works, but a good manager steps in, listens to both sides, and finds a way to solve the issue before it messes with the entire team.
Yeah, and let's not forget, today's workplace is changing fast. You got people working from home, people using AI tools, different generations working together. Gen Z wants flexibility, millennials want purpose, and boomers might want stability. As a leader, you've got to understand different motives people have and create an environment that everyone can thrive in.
And it's not just about the work anymore. People want more than just a paycheck. They want to feel valued. They want to know that their voice matters, that they're growing, and that they're not just a number. If a manager ignores that, people will leave, especially now that there are more remote jobs and options than ever before.
I agree, and that means that managers have to actually listen. Not just doing performance reviews, but regularly asking questions like, what's something that's been bothering you lately? Or is there anything I can do to make your job easier? Stuff like that goes a long way, and people feel seen when you take the time to ask and actually care about the answer that they give you.
But at the same time, you still have to hit the goals. You can't just focus on making everyone happy all the time. There's pressure from above. Your boss wants results, wants numbers, wants progress. So you're stuck in the middle, trying to keep your team motivated while still delivering expectations.
It's a real balancing act. Be tough but fair. Be honest but kind. Be focused but flexible. And honestly, be ethical. Because your team is always watching. They'll copy your habits, your tone, even the way you treat people. But if you cut corners, they probably will too.
I definitely agree. Some of the best leaders we've seen aren't the loudest in the room. They're not the ones yelling or showing off. They're calm, they're patient, and they make other people better. They don't want to take all the credit. They're focused on helping the team win.
And yeah, leadership is hard. It's not always fun or glamorous. Sometimes it means having uncomfortable conversations, owning to one's mistakes even when they're not totally your fault, or staying up late to fix something that went off the rails. It's being the one who steps up when things get messy, but when you do it right, the impact is huge. People actually enjoy coming to work. They feel seen and heard. They trust you, not just as a manager, but as a person. Because of that, they're more likely to work hard and give it their best. Not out of fear, but because they know that you've got their back.
And honestly, those are the teams that perform the best. Not because they're perfect or never make mistakes, but because they've been given a space to grow, to fail, and to bounce back. A good leader builds that kind of environment. One where people feel safe speaking up, where they're challenged to stretch themselves, and where they know they'll be supported no matter what. That kind of trust doesn't just happen by accident. It's built day by day by leaders who care more about people than just the bottom line.
So yeah, leadership isn't about being the loudest voice in the room or having all the answers. It's not about control, it's about responsibility. It's about showing up for the people who rely on you, setting the tone, and creating a space where others can thrive. There's a big difference between being in charge and being responsible for the people in your charge. One is about power and the other is about purpose. And that shift in mindset is what makes all the difference.
All right, that brings us to the end of today's episode. We've hit 3 major topics: ethics in business, how work is divided, and what really takes to be a strong leader in today's world.
And if there's one thing we hope you take away today, it's this. Business isn't just numbers and charts. It's about people and how you treat people that matters. Whether you're working for somebody, managing a team, or leading a whole company.
So we hope you guys learned something today, had a few laughs, maybe even saw things from a new angle. We're all still learning, but that's the point.
Thanks for spending some time with us on Spreadsheets and Shenanigans. Until next time, stay smart, stay ethical, and don't be afraid to lead with your heart.
Peace out.